Let's read what Colossians chapter 1 verses 18 and 19 say. And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell. Believe it or not, I had to study Latin when I was at school. And one of the things that sticks in my mind from Latin classes is the name of a certain boy who featured in the textbook. Ecce Romani was the name of the textbook, and Sextus was the name of the boy. Sextus simply means the sixth. It's also the name of the sixth child of a certain well-known politician. When we turn to the scriptures, we discover that in Romans chapter 16, there is a man called Quartus, a brother. That's another Latin name, and that means the fourth. 2 verses earlier, we have a man called Tertius, and he was the scribe who actually wrote down what Paul dictated in the letter. His name means the third. In Acts chapter 20, we encounter a man, and he's called Secundus. That means second. However, there's no one named in Scripture who was called primus, that is, number one. How could there be when it is God's express purpose that in all things he might have the preeminence? And in this clause, we actually come to the crux of this passage. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is sometimes referred to as primus inter pares. That's some more Latin for you. And that means first among equals. It's a kind of a recognition that someone has to have the leading role, although it could as easily be any one person of a group. But that's not at all what Paul is saying here about the one who is the Son of God's love. It's not that Christ is first by a whisker or even first by some distance. He is far above, as Paul writes in Ephesians chapter 1. He is what we say, peerless. He is peerless. Yes, indeed. In all things, he must have the preeminence. In all things. It is God's express purpose that in every sphere, without exception, the Son of his love should have the preeminence. Throughout the old creation, in the church, throughout the entire universe, in the new creation, he shall be first. He shall hold the first rank, the highest dignity. He shall be chief, the head over all things, as Paul puts it again in Ephesians chapter 1. And as if to emphasize this, Paul uses a unique word for preeminence, which is used in no other place in the New Testament. It's as if, to illustrate Christ's unique position in God's estimation, Paul feels that he must use a unique word. And really, this is a challenge to every one of us when we think of the many things that we value and give importance to. Does he really have the first place in my daily life? Paul also points out to us that God is pleased that in him should all fullness dwell. What does Paul mean? There's a verse of a hymn that we sing which nicely sums up the truths of these verses in this way. In thee most perfectly expressed, the Father's glory shine, of the full deity possessed, eternally divine. The preeminent one in the completeness of his being is God. He's not partly God. He's not part God. He is God, the eternal God, the mighty God, the Father of eternity, as Isaiah says in his prophecy in chapter 9. He is preeminent in his person. He is preeminent in his position. He is preeminent in his perfection. And in the next video, we shall see that he is preeminent in his passion.